We will. All right, so today our goal, we're going to do 8.1 through 8.5. We're going to play a game, and I want you to go ahead for this first one. You don't have to write the original problem. I just want you to write the answer and hold your board above your head once you know the answer. Okay, so the first one says, write a ratio for the Conquerors' wins to their games played. As you can see here, these are their wins, so we know that goes on the top. And how many games did they play?
21.
21. So your ratio is 16 to 21. Can that be simplified at all? No. And you can tell that if you stick it in your calculator and you hit the equals button, whatever pops out, if it still pops out the same, that means it cannot be simplified. All right, problem number 2. You must turn the denominator into the number 1 when you're finding the what?
Unit rate.
Unit rate. The next one, this one had asked you to find the unit rate. For the unit rate, what do you want your denominator to be? 1. So all you're doing is you're dividing by whatever the denominator is so you can turn it into a 1. Be careful, a lot of you guys said 1 bags. What should it be?
1 bag.
1 bag. And what's 48 pounds divided by 4?
12.
Okay, also be careful because some people just wrote 12 over 1. You want to make sure you always put those units right here with it so that it is correct. For this one, it's asking you to find the average speed. What's the formula for average speed, guys?
Distance over time.
Okay, average speed equals distance over time. So always start with that formula. Looking at this one, guys, what's my distance?
150 meters.
150 meters over, what's my time? 40 seconds. Remember, this is just like finding unit rate, so you want to go ahead and turn that denominator into a what? Into a 1, okay? 1 what? Second. And what's 150 meters divided by 40? 3.75 meters. Now listen, what some people once again forgot to do was give me their units. Always make sure you have units attached for it to be correct, okay? Number 5 says to find the slope of the line and use the slope formula. So let's start with, what is the slope formula? Rise over run, okay? So you're going to start from one of your points. Let's just say we start from this one right here. Am I rising up or down?
Down.
You're rising down, so if I'm going down, what should it be? -2, because I went down, all right? Then I've got to run 1, 2, 3, 4. If I simplify that, what do I get? -1/2. All right, do you remember how we talked about it? If you want to go ahead and erase those lines, if you see that the slope is going downward, you know that's going to be a negative slope. Okay, so if your answer didn't come out negative, always look at that and see, should it be negative or positive? Also remember, you could have started here and gone to that point if you wanted to. If I did that, I have to go up 2. If I'm going up, is that positive or negative?
Positive.
It's positive, so I'm going up 2, but then I have to go backwards 1, 2, 3, 4. If I'm going backwards, that's -4. Still your answer, no matter what, your slope is -1/2. Number 6 asks us to draw the graph of the line that passes through the points. So the first thing you want to do is plot those points right there. Remember, I have to start at the origin, and then I'm going to go -3 and then up 2. If you do -3 up 2, how many of you would say this is where you plotted your point? Okay, the next one you have to go over 4 and up 5. Who would say you plotted your point there? Okay, then all you do is you connect your dot. Now it's asking us to find the slope. When finding the slope, what's my formula?
Rise over run.
Rise over run. Remember, every time I want you to go ahead and write that rise over run. Okay, now let's just go ahead and see, how many did I rise? 1, 2, 3. How many did I run?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Okay, now a couple people were confused as to whether or not it was positive or negative. Just remember, if you're thinking about that little man, he's going in an upward direction. Anytime you're going up, that is going to be positive. So your correct answer should have been 3/7. This one is asking you to draw the line that has the given slope and passes through the given point. When doing a problem like this, the first thing you have to do is plot your point. So start at the origin. You're going to go -4 to the left and then -3 down. Now remember, we have to find the slope. Many times people are trying to go to the 3 and say that that's a point. That is not what slope does. Slope does not give you a point on the graph. Remember, slope tells you how what the angle of your line is going to be, okay? So with slope, we're going to start with our formula. What's the formula?
Rise over run.
Rise over run. But if you notice right here, it only gives me one number, okay? 3 over, what's the imaginary number underneath it? Over 1. So all you have to do from the point you have is go up 1, 2, 3, and run 1. Plot your point. Then you're going to rise 1, 2, 3, and run 1. Remember, I only require for you to do just 3 points. You could continue to go on and on forever if you wanted to, but you only need to do 3 points, okay? So that is what the graph of your line should look like. Use equivalent ratios to solve the proportions. Yesterday on your quiz, many people were doing cross products instead, but look carefully. It's asking for equivalent ratios, so this is how you have to show me your work. On this, you can see we know both the numerator and the denominator of the first fraction. I don't know it of the second one. We also know that I know both of my denominators. So I am working from left to right, and I've got to figure out how to get from a 25 to a 5. What do I need to do? Divide by 5. If I'm dividing by 5 on the bottom, I have to divide by 5 on the top. What is 10 divided by 5? 2. So A equals 2. This is how you do an equivalent ratio. For this problem, you're trying to tell me whether or not the ratios do form a proportion. Remember, for it to be a proportion, you want to know if they equal each other or not. When you're doing this, you can do it with your cross products. The first one right there, you are going to multiply 12 times 10. Then you'll take the bottom number, multiply it across, 25 times 4. What is 12 times 10? 120. What's 25 times 4? 100. Does that equal each other? No. So your answer is no. They cannot be a proportion because they do not equal each other. The final question for today says it takes 3 gallons of paint to cover a 900 square foot area. Now the main thing is I'm wanting to see a proportion. So we know 3 gallons per 900 square feet. Here's the question. If I have to make a proportion, I know it's going to be this ratio right here set equal to another ratio over here. How many square feet would 10 gallons of paint cover? So the next thing that I know is 10 gallons. If I am trying to make it equal to this ratio, would the gallons go on top or on bottom? On the top, because if the gallons are on top on the left side, the gallons have to be on top at the right side, okay? So this is 10 gallons. Gallons on top here, gallons on top here. If square feet are on bottom here, guess what's going to be on bottom over there?
X.
Or what's my unit?
Or square feet.
Square feet, okay? So I'm trying to figure out what those square feet are, so I'm just going to put an X, all right? So in order to do this, I have to do cross products. So I am going to multiply the first up, 3 times x equals 900 times 10.
Interruption. I just want to remind.
Okay, what is 900 times 10?
9,000.
9,000. Your whole goal is to get x by itself, so I'm going to divide by 3 on both sides. What's 9,000 divided by 3? 3,000. Now listen. This is what a lot of people have now said. They would look at this and say, oh, yay, my answer is 9 gallons per 3,000 square feet. And then they would box this answer in. But if I go back to my question, this is what my question says. How many square feet would 10 gallons of paint cover? I don't want to know a ratio. I want to know square feet. So what should my answer be?
3,000 square feet.
Just 3,000 square feet, not the whole ratio, okay? A lot of people also are just leaving it down here and saying x equals 3,000. But remember, story problems, you always have to make sure you leave me a unit. So your correct answer is 3,000 square feet. Doing that. Tomorrow is your test, so please make sure you're studying and reviewing 8.1 through 8.5.